A lot more
But I
people.
think one of the reasons that Joe was elected was because of his sense of empathy. And I think people understand that he's had a lot of tragedy and loss in our family, and he understands what they're going through.
Years ago, now 15 years ago, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday. And lightning struck at home and hit a wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette, and my cat. But all kidding aside,
He understands what they're going through.
Okay, Biden never lost his home from a lightning strike. He had a small kitchen fire that was contained in less than 20 minutes. And the fact that he went to Hawaii with almost 1,000 people missing, over 100 dead, and no one has a home anymore, and said, I lost my home too, a lie, when there was a small kitchen fire.
I think empathy is a critically important thing. It doesn't make it easier to talk about because you've been through it. But when you've been through it and you talk to people, they go, okay, I know he or she understands because they've been through it.
This visit to Maui, frankly, is just plain frightening. How can you have a commander-in-chief who is totally out of touch with reality, who makes up a story which is a lie, who has no understanding of the scale of the disaster which has occurred, who is literally has no empathy for the human beings around him, and I think, and of course, as you point out, can't even stay awake.
And I hope the American people, when we get to the White House, know that we feel their pain. We know what it's like, and that Joe, and that there's hope, that things are going to get better for them.
It's been 3 weeks now since the toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, as you know. The mayor says he saw you in Ukraine, and he says it tells you he doesn't care about us. They're asking, is the president coming to Ohio? Do you have any plan to travel to Ohio, and have you talked with the mayor yet?
Whatever happens here, we got to understand it's the responsibility of the railroad company, who's made, by the way, tens of billions of dollars in profits. Tens of billions of dollars of profits lately.
So do you plan to travel there, and have you talked with the mayor?
I can't recall whether I don't think I've talked to the mayor. I've talked to everyone else there, and multiple times. Talked to both the senators, both governors. I've talked to everyone there is to talk to. Talked to both the senators, both governors. I've talked to everyone there is to talk to.
President Biden said recently that he would go to East Palestine, Ohio, the site of the now infamous Norfolk Southern train derailment, but the president still has made no official plans to visit the site.
President Biden says he will visit the train derailment site in East Palestine. However, he did not say when that would happen. At a luncheon with Senate Democrats yesterday, he told reporters that he would be out there at some point.
President Joe Biden saying he will visit East Palestine, Ohio at some point.
Your empathy has become a trademark of your presidency.
When the president was asked about the fire in Lahaina, he said, quote, no comment. Really? No comment on more than 100 people dead, more than 1,000 missing, more than 1,000 buildings burned? Common sense thinks if you're the president, that's worth a comment. But at least he went to Maui, though he still has not gone to East Palestine, Ohio, the site of that horrific train derailment. He promised to go there 172 days ago. How time flies. Common sense was told that Joe Biden is the empathy president. The media said his empathy, compassion, and emotion is in stark contrast with his predecessor.
He just doesn't have any empathy.
Is an utter lack of empathy, which is the most important quality in a leader. Empathy is the most important characteristic in a leader, and it's what's missing in the current president. That this man has no humility, that he has no empathy. This is not a man who's experienced any kind of empathy.
He doesn't have any empathy. He doesn't have any empathy for anyone.
Because I've never seen a president so lacking in empathy, the stunning lack of empathy.
This is a person who is fundamentally amoral and immoral. He is a man without human empathy or without human sympathy.
Then because he lacks empathy, he lacks the capacity for self-correction.
This issue of empathy, Donald Trump doesn't have empathy. He literally has no empathy. He does not feel emotions like care.
He's a sociopath?
Yes, he is a sociopath. He neither has a conscience nor does he have a heart. To have any of those feelings, compassion, empathy.
Some have a different take, like the Gold Star families whose loved ones died in the disastrous pullout from Afghanistan. As the caskets of their children were loaded onto a plane, the compassion president was checking his watch. And common sense is pretty sure he wasn't worried about being on time.
You've met President Trump. You also, when your son's body was being brought back, you have a story to tell. Was President Trump empathetic to you? Did he show empathy for you?
He was extremely empathetic, Sean.
Becca, has the president apologized to you yet for politicizing the death of your two sons from fentanyl poisoning? And our hearts go out to you, Rebecca, over this story. It's a terrible tragedy.
No, he has not. And I saw his press secretary yesterday say that he showed empathy while he was giving that statement when he was yucking it up. He claims that was showing empathy. I don't know, because he said, poor mom? Like, no.
So why aren't you taking care of what you claim to be in charge of rather than sending out all these funds and whatever else you guys are sending to Ukraine or anywhere? Take care of here first.
As President of the United States, I will always put America first.
I don't see why any president wouldn't step up and take care of what's part of their, territory. I think it's a stupid move on his part. Biden, yeah, he's an idiot. Sorry. No, not sorry.
And Mike, you've also said that you feel the government just doesn't care about the people of Maui. Tell me more about that.
We feel that we're not very political people. We really don't go one way or the other. But Biden has really failed us. He when something like this, one of the worst disasters in U.S. history, happens, and then the FEMA, they're giving some people, $700. We didn't get the $700, and we're not complaining about that. But giving people that just $700 to survive when they just lost everything, their clothes, their family members, is insulting. People need more help.
I think empathy is a critically important thing.
We're seeing all this money being donated to other countries, billions of dollars, and we're not getting that help. They're more concerned with their political agendas in other locations when they should be taking care of Hawaii, which is, we are part of the U.S. We pay taxes. It's not right to do this to us. They need to care more.
This is a crisis that is continuing on. It is not at all lost on the people of West Maui when they're told that FEMA is going to give those impacted a one-time $700 payment. And as they look at the news, they're seeing tens of more millions of dollars being sent to Ukraine. Some of them said, hey, maybe if we just change the name of Maui to Ukraine, maybe then they'll pay attention to us.
U.S. President promised a further $500 million worth of weaponry, including artillery, ammunition, anti-armor systems, and air defense radar, plus tougher sanctions on Russia. Biden promised Zelensky the U.S. would stand beside Ukraine for as long as it takes.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first. Empathy matters. It matters. And so the younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No. I have no empathy for it. Empathy matters. I have no empathy.
No, that's not showing empathy. And then he also tried to claim through his press secretary that this isn't just that his words were being mischaracterized. All the parents in my support groups are absolutely furious, many of whom their children did die under his administration.
Yeah. Both governors.
Biden, yeah, he's an idiot.
I am your voice. I have been very direct with Secretary Stoltenberg and members of the alliance in saying that NATO members must finally contribute their fair share and meet their financial obligations. But 23 of the 28 member nations are still not paying what they should be paying and what they are supposed to be paying for their defense. This is not fair to the people and taxpayers of the United States. And many of these nations owe massive amounts of money from past years and not paying in those past years. Over the last 8 years, the United States spent more on defense than all other NATO countries combined. America first. America first.